Hello, hello. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm
Look
doing
at
so
you.
good. Hello.
Yes, you made it. Looking beautiful as ever.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
you're very welcome. Very welcome. All right. So, yeah, I was going through your TikToks and I saw one where you were talking about being nervous on video.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have a little discussion about that. We're also going to be talking about your marketing techniques and things of that sort. So what I want to do right now is, have you introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what it is you do, and, what we're going to be talking about in this next hour.
That sounds great. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Pollyanna Brown, and I am a messaging and publicity strategist. So I really focus on how you can communicate effectively and meaningfully with your audience to build a connection, and then getting that message and getting those projects out in front of as many aligned people as possible, typically in the millions, but not always, but we go as big as we can.
We have a lot of people who watch shows that are like mine, that are very interested in trying to figure out how to navigate social media. Social media as a whole it's huge. I mean, you got all these different platforms. You have all of these different people saying, "Oh, you've got to post this, or you've got to, use this trend, or you've got to." What do you recommend when someone comes in and just sees the sea of social media and they're completely lost? They don't know what to do.
Oh, yeah. So the first thing is you don't have to do everything, right? So we want to pull back the overwhelm and first say, what am I doing? And what do I like? Right? So do I think everyone should be on TikTok and making short form video? Yes. Is that realistic? No. So it's really important to be aware of what it is that you enjoy. And I also want to put in perspective that there are some things in our businesses that we're not going to like all the time, right? So creating content is not always fun, but it is an important part of getting our work out there in the world. And the way that we can serve the world is by showing up in it and showing up in it fully. So finding the places where, especially your audiences, I think that's the most important part. So if your audience is on Facebook, you should probably be on Facebook. If they're on Instagram, that's where you should be. And I would say pick anywhere between, if you're brand new, pick one, get one right down.
Yeah, get your sound out there. Let them, have some kind of an idea of what it is that you do.
Yes.
I had a couple of people that have come on have said that they're going to be days when you just don't have any kind of an idea of what you want to post. And what they recommend is just posting something that's like an everyday kind of thing that you go through as a creative. And picking that. What do you suggest about that?
I have so many ideas. So the first thing is, I'm a verbal processor. I don't have really a full thought on something unless I speak it out loud. And I don't know why that is. It's just the way that my brain's wired. And I don't have to speak to another human. That's the cool part. So what I found works for me is I will go for a walk and I will take my phone and I will speak content ideas into it. I'm just walking and talking. And it takes the pressure off of sitting down and having to pound out content ideas. So I did it the other day. I went for about an hour-long walk and I had over 60 ideas that came out. I'm sure not all of them are viable.
Because it's stream of consciousness, right?
Yes.
And sometimes people will get stream of conscious ideas in the shower. And I have found that there are some that will put a whiteboard in the shower and put it on the back wall or wherever the heck the water's not going to go directly aiming to, and they'll write out their ideas.
Absolutely.
There are also people that will use the phone and jot down their ideas while they're doing whatever they're doing, because it's at the oddest times sometimes that we get these particular ideas. So
Yeah.
as we're going through and trying to find ways to be able to come up with content, then what kind of things can they do to be able to take that idea and push it forward into their content?
So I'm a big batcher. I love to batch my content. I don't always get to do it, but I try to. And the reason why is because you're not going to be motivated every day. You're not going to be inspired every day. It's not always going to feel good every day. But on the days where you have the most energy, those are the days where you really want to show up and batch your content as much as you can. Because when you're in that flow, you have an access to an energy that you don't otherwise. Now, the cool thing is you can train your body to get into that flow. I'm more inspired more often than I'm not, right? And so I can do it more often than I'm not. However, if let's say I've pushed really hard for a week or two and my body says like, no, bitch, you need to rest, I'm not going to get to do anything that day.
Right.
And so batching the content then gives me like a reserve to pull from. So it still looks like I'm being fully present in every moment of every day, even when I can't be.
Okay, so, and thank you for that. That was like really well explained. So I've got creatives that are coming to me and saying, I can't get publicity. I don't know where to go get publicity. And they'll go and they'll drop their, like say if it's an author, they'll go and they'll go to author pages and they'll try to put their content there. And they're saying, I'm not getting any momentum. I'm not getting anywhere. It's publicity, but it's not. It really feels like it's fake. It's not real.
Yeah.
What can they do to be able to find other places to be able to put their content? How do they make what they're doing more accessible?
So I think the first thing is a lot of times as creatives, we can get stuck on the book or the painting or the music or the movie or whatever it is that we want to talk about, because that's the thing. The funny thing about publicity is publicity does not often care about the thing itself. And so it requires us to think differently and think outside of the box. And so what that means is, what is the story behind the thing we want to share? So I'll give you a quick example. Let's say I had a book that I wanted to share. It's my newest book. And let's say it was inspired by something I went through when I was younger. I could take that story and then go to the media and say, I'm a novelist. Here's how my experience living in a cult built my book. Right now you've got a story, and that story is really interesting. And I feel like that a lot of creatives, we're kind of used to being the wizard behind, the
Oh yes, like
behind the
Wizard of
curtain.
Oz and the whole everything. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
And so when we do that, the problem that we run into is we forget that we are just as valuable a part of the story as whatever creation we have. And people are really craving connection with one another.
Especially now, especially within the last couple of years, people have been forced to see the creative spark within themselves because they haven't been able to get out into these groups. And there are people that have been creating during that particular time, but then there are some that just are stuck. They don't know what to do because they don't have an audience. So what if you don't have an audience right in front of you? What are some things that you can do to help regain that spark?
So I would always say that if you don't have an audience, you have the perfect opportunity to build one. So everyone starts from zero, right? No one starts with an audience. So when you understand that building is part of what you're doing, and it's part of the magic of what you're doing, it can put some energy behind it. And I feel like how we view it matters just as much as what we do.
Yes.
So I would say that's the first thing, is just get your mindset on that you have the opportunity to build a fresh audience with amazing information that you may not have had before. So if you're starting from zero, the first thing that I would do is I would build an opt-in before I build anything else. And what an opt-in is, just for anyone who's not familiar, is it is a free piece of content that people access by giving you their name and their email. Now, this can be, I describe this for authors all the time as, if you have a scene that you cut from your book, or a short story, or a prequel, or something that you can give them for free, that's interesting to them. And that can lead to a sale. But what we want to do is we want to offer something of value.
Yes.
Especially if you're a creative, a lot of creatives do the thing where they sell the creation, but they also sell their process of creating in whatever way that is for them. So if you are a writer and you also sell writing workshops, then you can also have an opt-in that is about your top 10 tips to instantly increase the quality of your writing, right? Just off the top of my head.
Yes.
And so you have that. Now, when you start creating content on social media, you now have somewhere to send them to own that traffic that can build that platform. Likewise, it legitimizes you a little bit more. So now that you have an opt-in, you can go to other creatives that you respect who have your same audience. If they have a YouTube show, if they have a podcast, whatever it is that they have, if they're willing to live stream with you, then all of that, you can start pitching them and say, hey, here's an idea I have for your audience, based on what I've already seen from you. Do you think that they'll like it? And so now you're starting to borrow other people's audiences and
Yes.
grabbing that traffic and building your own. And that's what's so powerful about publicity, is that's how media outlets work, is you're taking that traffic and now you're putting it into a place where you own that traffic. And
Yes.
so by consistently posting on your platform and reaching people through organic methods, you can also do this with publicity and other people in your sphere who have people who are perfect fits for you that you can just add value to from the get-go. So that's what I would do.
There are a lot of people that think, if I just put this here, somebody's going to see it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many people see it, just somebody's going to see it. And because this place where I want to put it has a wide audience, and they don't try to build a relationship with where they put that. And so sometimes, more or not, that content will get deleted.
Yeah.
Because there is no relationship. I would really like you to talk about why it is important to build a relationship with the media types and the different kinds of platforms, including the audience audience that's part of that platform. Why it's important to do that before you just go blah all over the place.
Absolutely. So relationships are everything. And it's funny because we really want connection, and we don't, when we're the creative practicing this, we don't think about it as rushing into anything or that we're doing anything wrong, because all we're seeing is that they would love this. I want to give that to them. Right.
Yes.
So that's the most innocent version of kind of what's going on
Yes.
in everyone's head. However, it is very similar to the thought process of, oh my gosh, I really like that person. I would be a great partner for them. I need to go tell them right now, right? Hey, I'd be a really good girlfriend for you. You should date me like right now. Like, no, stop talking to her. You should talk to me because I'm the best fit. Can you see? Right? It's that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
how
that
it comes
kind of-
across.
It comes across kind of creepy, kind of like, excuse me, like that. I saw a TikTok video. And with you, I'm gonna relate a lot of things to TikTok because that's where I found you. But I saw this cute cat video. And this person is laying on the couch and they're trying to take a nap. And this cat just comes up and is like, excuse me, pardon me. Oh, I'm just gonna, don't mind me. I'm just gonna, right here.
Mm-hmm.
And, the person, they might like the cat and all that, but they want their space too. And it would have been probably a little bit, easier if the person knew that was going to happen. But as life happens, these things happen. This person says, this looks like a wonderful place to rest, to be able to put my stuff out. I've worked so hard on making this content, and I really want to put it in the best place I possibly can.
Yep. And so I want to tell everyone there's not a single person alive who hasn't made this mistake. So if you have, and you're kind of cringing to yourself right now, please know you're not alone.
I did it. I did it when I was first
it.
starting out. Okay. I did it. Everybody does it because we are so excited that we did this thing, and we want to be able to share it with as many people as that we value, or that we've heard are such good experiences. So you got to go do this. And then we get, the newspaper to the head, no, you can't do that. So the building of the relationship is very important to do.
It's very important. And I always want everyone listening to this to think about it this way. Is what I'm doing, is the way that I'm communicating clearly valuable for the person I'm communicating to? Right? Does this sound like an ask? Or does this sound like a give? Because we always want to give value first. And one of the things with publicity and media that's so important is it's value centric, right? We don't get stories out there that aren't valuable. You have to pay for those. Those are called ads. So if you want free organic publicity and you want those relationships, you have to build them. So I would be looking at, instead of looking at, can I get someone to showcase my book? Can I get someone to tell the story of writing my book? Right? Where is the value for them? Same thing with a movie. If let's say we created a movie and it is based on this true story that's really compelling that most people don't know, tell that story. That's a value, right? That's interesting and intriguing. If it feels like you're pushing someone to buy something, they're not going to be interested because there's no value there that they immediately see. You show them the value indirectly by letting them in on the process. And so let me explain why this is valuable for people, because I think it'll make more sense.
Yes.
As a society, we are craving intimacy on so many different levels that it's viscerally painful for most people. Intimacy is value. So when you give behind the scenes looks at things, you're giving people intimacy. You're giving them little known information, and you're letting them see your heart, and you're letting them see your work in its most precious form to then get to the desired result. And that's a lot more vulnerable than go buy my book or go buy my movie or whatever it happens to be. And so as creatives, we get very private about a lot of our process and things like that,
Yes.
right?
Oh
I
yeah.
don't want,
Oh yeah.
right? I want people to see me creating, but that's where the value is.
Yeah. You know, I I I'm pretty crazy about 20, 30 minutes right before I do a show. I don't care if it's a 5-hour show or if it's a short show. And um, I think that if people actually saw my crazy that I go through, I don't know what they would do.
Mhm.
So what do you, so how do you overcome the, I don't know how they would react to me. Maybe they like the polished stuff, but I don't know
Mhm.
how they would react if they really knew what really went into the putting together of the thing.
So I would say you're still shaping the narrative, right? There's still an art form to this. So I'll give you an example. One of the things that people are always surprised about is that I get so nervous before I get on video. I get nervous to do my TikToks. I get nervous to do anything and everything. If I'm speaking on stage, I'm a nervous wreck the whole way through, probably even shaking on stage. And I've been on stage my entire life. And so people are always surprised to hear that I get nervous. But if I can do like a little TikTok that shows like the hilarity beforehand of like what's going through my head, right? Like I'll just have like a funny face and it'll be like some really good song lyrics that go with it, right? Or like a voiceover that goes with it. And then I'll just show my thought process. That's what people want. It doesn't have to be like recording like a documentary.
It's like your authentic self coming out.
Yeah,
Your
totally.
real. What I call your real is you just showed your real right there.
Yes, yes.
So so being authentic. Let's talk about, because we're at that point of talking about authenticness.
Mhm.
Why is it important to put your most authentic self out there when you're a creative?
I would say because it's what you can stand behind, right? So there's something really precious about what we do as creatives. We're not just putting an idea into the world. It's not just a widget. It's not just a thing. For almost every creative that I know, it is heart, mind, body, soul. It is everything.
Yes.
So if it's not all of you, why do it? Because in 10 years, when you look back, if it's not all of who you were in that moment, you will regret it. And my regrets list personally is long enough. I do not need to add to it. So if you're allowing yourself to fully be, then that's really important. And I want to be very clear about what we mean by this, because some people take the word authenticity and use it as an excuse to be mean or cruel to people.
Right.
And so I'm going to be very clear. Being authentically you is never at the expense of someone else.
Yeah, the no, oh, that opens up such a big hole here. Oh, you went down that. All right. So, but it's that's authenticness. It
Mhm.
is sometimes what happens because they have a voice in their head that says, I got to be bigger, better, faster. I've got to do something that's either outrageous, or I've got to do something that I know is going to spark a nasty thing, but I want to see how many likes, shares, views I can get. Ooh,
Yeah,
there we go down that hole. Ouch.
being polarizing is not the same as being valuable. And there's the difference.
Right.
And you can polarize as much as you want, and it might get you views. It might get you short-term money, but it is also going to alienate the people who would be lifelong. I don't want to say fans, because it's not fans. They are the people who support you, your core support network.
They're
Yeah.
investments. They're investments to
Yes.
who you are and the kinds of things that you create, because they are relatable.
Exactly.
But
And
then,
so,
yeah, if you put something out there that is completely and totally off the box and you just yeeted yourself off the planet, not everybody is going to see that, but there are going to be a good enough, my Sicilian's coming out, there's going to be a good enough amount of people that are going to see it. And man, word of mouth, let's talk about that. Word of mouth,
yeah,
when they see that, they're going to go and they're going to start doing and saying things that you might not be able to fix in your present whatever you did conundrum.
I will put it in perspective really quick, and I think it'll make a lot of sense. There is a person in my network who decided to put a post out about Andrew Tate. And he was a man, and he said, "I'm so grateful for Andrew Tate." Right? Now, if you went on to read the rest of the post, then you would see that he said, "I'm grateful that, he's showcasing why this is not a great lifestyle, why you need to value your wife, why you need to value your kids, why, being rich and having followers is not the thing. It's about having a rich life, and you can still have those things while being in integrity." But you had to get past the polarization first.
Yes.
And
not everybody reads past the headline.
No. And here's
the doesn't happen.
No. And here's the thing. If you are a woman who, and his ideal clients were women, if you're a woman reading that, that's not just polarizing, it's traumatic to read.
Yes.
Right? For this person, and especially because it had the hashtag on it. And I'm sorry, the sun is chasing me.
I've been watching it kind of.
Right? I'm like, goodness. But if you are a woman and you see this man who you've trusted and respected say something so contrary to what your belief of them is, you don't go to the next sentence.
No, you don't.
And
you go, I read enough.
So
and everything stops.
Absolutely. And he also used the hashtag free Tate. Yep. And it was to get views on it, but it was a very short-sighted decision.
Yeah. And, it doesn't just happen with situations like this. Sometimes it happens with big box brands.
Yep.
They'll go and they'll put something in a, you did what? You said what? You're using, right now, the one that I'm thinking about is not Louis Vuitton, but the
Balenciaga.
I
was thinking of the same thing.
Balenciaga, but I went first because I love Louis Vuitton, but Louis Vuitton wouldn't do something like that. No. Balenciaga, what are you doing?
It's,
I mean, it's all about content. It's all about what you just put in your space and what you neglected to remove. And yeah, you can have a major disaster. We have content. We have creatives too that on Facebook over the 12 plus years I've been doing shows on here, I have seen some content that is just like you went so south of the border, and you're complaining because you're not getting enough views. You're complaining because you're not selling enough things, and so you get frustrated. And then you put this out there to see if anybody's paying attention, because sometimes people will do that. It's not always a bad thing. Sometimes you can just put something that's maybe a little out of content just to see if anybody's paying attention.
Yes, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So
it's not your fault. Go ahead and tilt up your screen a little bit more, because we kind of got a little bit of a.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So when it comes to putting out content that is polarizing, that is good. Let's talk about what that looks like. So content that is polarizing, the entire purpose is to allow people who misalign with your values to go one way and people who align with your values to go another way. So you use a values-based statement to create that divide, right? And so I highly recommend people not do pity posts, right? So a pity
It
post
happens
is,
so many times on the Facebook,
it does.
and they get upset because they feel like nobody's paying attention. But
Yep.
it can be very problematic for people who are going through a lot of content, such as myself, if
Mhm.
I keep seeing that kind of posting. I will
Yeah.
leave. I had to leave TikTok. I've had to leave TikTok a couple of times too, but
Mhm.
I've had to leave Facebook for long periods of time, months, because there was so much of that.
Yep.
It does not. It
You want to manage the energy and the mood,
yes,
because if you're putting off energy of desperation or anger, your audience doesn't want to hang out with the angry person, right? That doesn't make them feel safe. It doesn't make them feel appreciated. It doesn't make them feel wanted. It does not magnetize them to you. So use your journal for that. Use your therapist for that, but do not use your social media for that. Your content is meant to magnetize people. So sometimes, we can get frustrated. Is anyone paying attention? Does anyone see what I'm doing? I'm doing really great stuff. But start thinking about it from their perspective. Are
and
you?
how do you go about doing that? Give us a couple of
Yeah.
examples.
So if I wanted to put a piece of content out, and it's something new that I haven't done before, or maybe it hasn't performed well in the past, I need to ask myself a battery of questions. So the first thing I need to ask is, am I putting this out for me, or am I putting it out for them? It's the very first thing.
Okay.
And the reason why that's so important is because if you're putting content out for you, you're going to hear crickets. If your content is not of value and service in some way, it's not going to do well. And sometimes that service is making people laugh, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it's just having fun.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be this big epic thing every time. Some of my best content is just me poking fun at what I do and like the funny things that happen. So, and that's some of the best stuff because it makes people feel good in their heart. And that's really important. And so that's the first thing. Is it for them or is it for me? The second thing is what kind of value am I offering? If I can't answer that question in a clear way, I haven't done the work to make sure that it's receivable. And that's the thing, is sometimes we have great ideas and sometimes we have great intentions. But if our information is not receivable, then we're stuck. So that's the next thing to ask. And I would say beyond that, I would ask myself, is this something that is interactable? Right? Is it something that will drive conversation? Because sometimes I'll see things like, if an author, for example, will put out a book cover, right? And that's all they put out. Or they put out, hey, my book is launching. Sometimes that does not drive conversation. However, if you put together a compilation of like a trailer that then shows your book cover and says, what do you think? Or what does this remind you of? What feeling do you get when you look at this? You've just made it interactable.
Yes.
And that is really key. You're having a conversation. It's not a one-way street. So if you're getting crickets, it's either not of value, it's not interactable, or it's for you, not them. And that is going to require all of it, regardless of what the answer is going to require us as creatives to put our egos down and be really honest with ourselves, and then start learning to create from a place which, and this is different because a lot of our art is created for ourselves.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful thing. but content is not. So it's a different mindset.
So I have the ability to be able to take questions from the audience. And if anyone is listening currently that would like to ask a question, now's the perfect time to do it, because this lady here, she knows what she's doing.
I love questions.
Yes, absolutely. We have Tony Levitsky, Marianne. I always spell your last name wrong, so I'm just going to say Marianne. We have Victoria Schultz, and Victoria Schultz says she really loves what she's hearing right now.
Oh, thank you.
So she's going to be a future guest too. She creates in steampunk. And
I love steampunk.
Oh yeah, I
I
know.
love steampunk.
So I'm going to give it a few minutes, and then for right now, though, I would like to also touch on other things that you do as a creative. We know that you write. What kinds of things do you write, and how do you give value to those you write for?
Absolutely. So I have a published short story on Wattpad. It's a self-published short story. It's very cool. I love it. And funnily enough, it's not my typical genre. I wrote it 15 years ago when I was in a master's degree program, and I found it and I went, this is actually really good. So I posted it. So that project is out. That's called The Dust Storm. And that is
that what
about...
happened? Is that what happened when you blew all the dust off of it? So how you got the name?
Exactly.
So Dust Storm, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool drama about two sisters who are forced apart. They're very far apart in ages, and they're coming back together in a unique way. And so it's their story together. And I love a good sibling drama. So that is that one.
Absolutely.
And my favorite genre to create in is fantasy and science fiction. I love to create in those. And so I both write on the novel side and I screenwrite. I do both. And I'm expecting my first project to go live in the next year or two. So
screenplay, eh? I heard one of my favorite words.
Yes.
What are you already working on the screenplay?
Yes, I actually have a pilot that's totally finished.
My curiosity is,
and the screenplay that's finished, actually. Yeah.
What program, if any, did you use to help you write your screenplay?
Final Draft all the way.
Yes.
Yep. It's the only option, in my opinion.
There are a number of options for helping to write screenplay. And one of the ones that I've heard over and over and over again is using Final Draft. There is a fee for that. Yeah, there's a, is there still a free version, or is it all pay version?
It's all paid. It's not exorbitant though. So that's a good thing. And I do believe it's a pay once. I'm sure there are upgrades.
Sometimes there's like a subscription service and all that. I think that might be one, but it's very good to use. And all right, so ghostwriting, do you ever do it?
Oh yeah, I ghostwrite my butt off.
Yeah. So let's talk about ghostwriting, and because there are some people out there that they have an idea, and they have maybe big parts of the idea of how they would like to have it roll out, but they just don't have the skill set or maybe the time to be able to have it done, and they still want to have the work in a completed form. So talk a little bit about what it's like to do ghostwriting, and how do you, in some instances, find clients to be able to do this for?
So I love ghostwriting because I know from being a writer myself and having shelved projects for years, it's actually physically painful. It gets to the point where it's physically painful. And I don't believe that anyone who has an incredible idea should be constrained by either time or the inability to write in the way that they want to. I think that that's silly. So ghostwriters are such great midwives for books and for scripts. I also do articles in that way. And it's so powerful because it's all your idea. It's all your genius. It is your heart and soul. And the way that I would describe it, it's a little esoteric, but that's okay. You get in alignment with the energy of what that is. What is that project? I like to think of it as it's in the sphere of things that want to come through. And so it's finding that home. And so when people hire me, we go through all the things of like, what are the plot points, what are the characters? If it's a nonfiction, what is the genius behind it? What are the different stories and anecdotes that we want to use? And we flush out the logistics, but there's also this energetic hookup point that is really important. And for me, what makes me able to do that is I spent the first 25 years of my life as an actress. And when you're an actor, you can act one of two ways. You can either fake it all, which means you don't go very far, or you can feel it all. I was the latter. Which is why I retired, it was too much for me. But I get to do it in a very safe way with ghostwriting because I can actually feel the energy of the project, which means I can feel the energy of the characters or the genius and then translate it. And that saves my clients time. It saves them, especially if it's something heavy for them. For example, a friend of mine is hiring a ghostwriter because her work comes from severe traumas that she experienced. And when she tried to write it herself, she was just reliving it over and over
And that
and over again.
That can happen. I have creatives that are military or police or ambulance, and they like to write, and this is their form of a healthy way of expression for what's going on in their head. And there are some times when they get to some scenes in their work where they tapped into the character's voice, but it's them going and basically reliving whatever this piece that happened, and it can be very mind numbing where they have to step away from it. So when you're going in there and you're basically going through this full on natural process of taking in everything that is going on with that particular character or that particular scene, and allowing for all of that, the anger or the sadness or the whatever, and allow it to pour it onto the page. Then once you do that, do you find that you have to do a retreat at some point, or are you able to just say this is that person's experience and put it aside? How is that for you?
For me as a ghostwriter, I like to say it channels through me, not from me.
Okay.
And I feel that way about my work too. The difference between writing and acting for me has simply been, does it live in my body or not? When I was acting, it lived in my body. I couldn't shake it. I couldn't get out of it.
So it's like a method actor. When you were method acting, and this for some reason I want to say it comes completely natural for you.
Yeah.
To do that. There have been a lot of actors who have not been able to climb out of that experience. And have you ever gotten yourself into a point where you got stuck?
That's why I retired from it.
Okay.
Because for me, it was almost emotional mutilation.
Oof.
And I'm not built for that. I am a storyteller, hands down.
Sure.
but embodying it does not work for me. Being the channel for it does.
Okay.
As far as like, I can tell the story and I can share it and I can write it, but I can't live it.
Right.
And so that was a really defining moment for me. And so when I'm ghostwriting for someone, I take on that emotional labor for them, but it doesn't affect me the same way. And so it can come through me, and I may be tired at the end of it and
Sure,
need a
sure.
nap,
Sure,
right?
sure. Yeah.
But I'm not traumatized. And that's the biggest difference. And so that is such a gift when I can do that for someone, when I can save them a re-traumatization
Absolutely.
and like hold them in that experience. That is a completely different thing than trying to write on your own and going through this thing. You know, it can be very, very difficult, and you can abandon the project altogether, and that's not fun either.
What is it like for you when you go into a business type relationship and you're working with a large company and they say, you know, we've seen what your work is for these other places, and we would like you to come in and share your talents. What is that like for you when you do that?
Well, it's interesting because I don't think I have worked with a large company as it's legally defined at this point. But if I were to, I think it would be very similar. I have my process, and my process is all about connection and communication. And how are we sharing stories in a very clear, receivable way that is also authentic and that is value driven? So as long as all of that is in place, that can transfer from environment to environment.
I pulled up your TikTok page, and I'm going to see if I can go and
Cool.
do the share screen thing. You know what I mean? So we can give some. Let's see, one person. That's okay. I haven't done this too often, so you gotta bear with me here a little bit. Video.
It's not in the settings. It's in the, when you press the share screen button,
Ah,
it's at the bottom. It's a little check mark thing.
all right. Maybe I'll go back over and I will. Oops. So you know what? I really like that one, and so I'm just going to play it again. And
Thank you.
I think we'll optimize for video. Do we optimize for video clip or just share sound?
I know definitely share sound. I haven't pressed the other one.
Okay, so
in front of millions of ideal clients all in one go. And I'll give you a hint, it's not ads and it's not paid. Can you guess it? Publicity is hands down the most fun form of traffic that I have ever found. It simultaneously hyper targets your traffic, builds your authority, and reduces the amount of touches you need per client because you're borrowing the influence from the media outlet who has spent decades building a relationship with your perfect audience. It's basically like an affiliate relationship that you don't have to pay commissions on. Let me show you how it works. So with publicity and making it work for your business, we start with you. Then we have your genius. This is all of your messaging pillars. This is all of the things that you do that are different in your industry. This is your individual stories. This is everything that makes you you, that makes you really compelling to an audience. Then we take that genius and we put it in a media outlet that serves your ideal audience, your ideal clients. This is the place where people are actually going to search the answers for the problems that they have that you solve. It's a great place to be. Once it's published, we have your people, your ideal clients, reading or accessing that media attention. Once they consume the media that you've gotten and they've decided that you are the right person, then bam! You have ideal traffic running to you, excited to learn more. Once they run to you, now you have your platform growth, you're making more sales, all of that comes back to you. If you want to leverage the most fun and glamorous traffic method that there is, reach out to me. I have 2 spots available for private work right now. And I also have a certification if you want to learn to do this for yourself, exactly how we do it for clients. I'll talk to you soon. Do you want to know the most?
Hey, I think I managed to get the sound. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome.
Told you I'm new at this. My first rodeo and all. What else would you like for folks to know about either your process or about any of the work that you're doing that you would like to share?
I would say, especially with creatives, because creatives are so hungry, and I completely get it. I am the same way. I want everyone to be careful. Like when you're going after publicity, real publicity is not something you pay for, right? So you don't
Yes.
pay to be in a magazine. You don't pay to be on a podcast. You don't pay to be on TV. That stuff is ads. Now, if you want to have an ad, that's fine. That's totally fine. You just have to make sure it's properly marked. Otherwise, it's illegal. And I want to save you the problem of not getting what you think you're getting, and also knowing how it needs to be marked for it to be above board. So always have something marked sponsored or paid ad if you do pay for it. If you want organic publicity, just know you never have to pay for it. And if someone tells you you do, then you run.
Yeah, because I've had people said, hey, I've heard your shows and all of that, or I like some of the content that you've done. Come on over. We have a spot for you on our whatever their radio air is. And I always get to the punchline first. How much are you going to charge me? How much Azordi are you going to charge me for this? And if it's something like that, they'll be real hesitant. They'll just be tripping over themselves trying to figure out how they're going to answer that, because usually they slap you with that towards the end of their spiel. But I've seen enough of this stuff happening. If someone comes to you and says, hey, I have this YouTube channel, or I have this, TikTok, and I want you to, maybe come over and we'll do a couple of promos for something or whatever. Those are generally, they're free and they're spontaneous, and they usually are somebody that you've known before, and that you've got something that you're working with already with them, or you have a group of friends that said, hey, we go over there and this is a great place to maybe meet these people. And it's very organic, and it's very fun. But yeah, you're bringing the content. You don't pay to give someone else your content ever.
Nope.
And if they're paying for your content, then you need to have a contract, and you need to make sure that you've got all of the ducks in a row before you go and do anything else. Because especially on platforms like TikTok, I've heard many a tale where they don't think that the content that they're putting out is going to be used anywhere else, and it can be used broad span. Can you give a little bit of a talk about that piece?
So anytime you're doing content on someone else's channel, they have the right to syndicate it. So when you're doing publicity, you have to make sure there's values alignment and there's audience alignment for where you are. You can't necessarily tell them no. And I've run into this with a couple clients that I do publicity for, where
that's once you've actually signed on the line.
And not everything requires a contract.
Oh. So
publicity does not always come with a contract. So it's really important to know what your rights are. Anywhere that doesn't include a contract, you own part of the copyright of that, depending on what form it is. So if you go on someone else's show, right? If you go on their podcast or you go on their video show, they own the content because they're who's shooting it.
Yes.
Right. Now, your content is yours. The second you write it down, it is legally copyrighted. So it's yours. So you can have a battle over that if you want to. But if you, for example, send in an article somewhere, and there's there's no contract in place. That is your content. You retain the rights to it. But there's always going to be disclaimers of you can't take it down, or you can't do this, or you can't do that, right? Once it's published. So
Right.
you want to just read all of the things and be very careful. I've had clients decide not to move forward with outlets because they syndicate in places that they're not aligned with. And likewise, you also have to be aware that once something is published, anyone can pick up that story and run with it how they want to. So let's say I publish something on Insider, since I write for Insider all the time. Actually, this one happened. So I wrote a story about, I took my first diet pill when I was 15 years old. And the whole point of the story was that I grew up with this really unhealthy mindset around diet culture that was a big part of growing up for me. It was everywhere. And I dropped a significant amount of weight. It had really crazy effects for me. And I was talking about how now as an adult, I embraced my body. I'm good with my body. I don't feel like punishing it anymore, right? And all those things. And someone took that story and ran with a different headline that made it into something that it wasn't. And I had to fight them on the headline. And so I won because I was like, this is defamation of character and I will come after you.
It's your story, your content from your first person telling.
But I cannot tell them to take it down. I can tell them to make it correct. I cannot tell them to take it down.
Because you put it out there. And their faux pas was to change the headline.
Yep.
And make it into that. This happens. Actually, it happens a lot. And people think that especially if it's a popular article, it's getting a lot of hits, or it's getting, a lot of talk in whatever social scenes going on that they're part of. And it can cause detriment to the individual that made the content, and it can also cause problems for the people that actually helped print the original content.
It is a thing that you have to be aware of, and you have to know of your rights, and you have to know, like, they were sensationalizing, but they turned it into things that weren't true. Like, I had said that I had disordered eating patterns. I did not say that I had an eating disorder. They are very different things.
Yes.
With extreme implications on both ends. And I went to bat for it. I was like, you are not going to disrespect the millions of people who are fighting for their lives against eating disorders and say that I had one when that's not what I said.
So
no.
So the importance of being able to get out there, get the publicity for the thing that you're doing, and making sure that the content that is put out there across the board is good and says what it's supposed to. That can be daunting.
It can be. I want to make it also very clear. This happened once in 11 years.
Yeah. So thank you for saying that, because it doesn't happen all the time. It happens. Yes, it happens all the time, but it happens in specific kinds of areas. But if it happens with you, it's going to be a very rare thing, because most people out there, they want to be entertained. They want to have content that they enjoy seeing or creating themselves. And they're not out there to be malicious.
No.
So make the content, do the PR stuff, do the thing that you're afraid of doing, get your face on the video.
Right. And worst case scenario, you may have to have a hard conversation. It's
To figure out
know,
where you are, if you're doing it for
Yeah.
you or if you're doing it for them.
Exactly. Because if you don't get out there, the people that you made the work for are never going to see it.
Right.
So I would rather have the occasional tough conversation than to never put myself out there and feel like I'm being safe, but I'm also just putting my work in an early coffin.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
No.
Get out there, create, get out there and write, do the music, do the special effects, do the thing. We
Do the
need
thing.
more people doing creative work. I am absolutely thrilled with having you on my first episode of this show, and I appreciate your willingness to be able to go through, like, the entire gamut of what it's really like to be out there in the marketing process. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. I had so much fun, and thank
So
you
what
for
did you
having
think?
me.
What did you think about being on this show?
I love it. It's so much fun. I love talking about these things, and I love that we can just bring everyone so much value and give them new things to think about and to give them actual tools that they can utilize. I just think that's so precious. And especially for creatives, there's not a lot of support that's genuine tactile support. And I feel like this is. So it's such an amazing mission. And I'm just happy to get to be a part of it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Before I let you go, I want you to put your social medias out there, since it's a big part of what we have been talking about. So go ahead and go do that, please.
Absolutely. So you can follow me at Pollyanna Writes, WRITES. It is pretty much the same across the board. I think the only place it's different is on Facebook, which is Publicity Pollyanna.
Awesome. All right. So this has been Jackie Chin on the Indie Files with Jackie Chin. We've been discussing marketing and all sorts of social media technique with Pollyanna Brown. Please visit her sites. And, hey, if you find that you are in a situation where you could use her skills, message her, do that. Tell her I sent you. That'd be real cool. I appreciate you. All right. So as far as everything else, we're going to go and say see you later, folks. Next show is going to be on the 15th, and it is going to be with William Brower, and very excited to be able to bring him on, talk about his book series, The Dragon's Bane, and also talk about his experience with working and writing about the Titanic. See you later. Thank you.
You're welcome.